joins the show right now on TMA, making her debut here on Sports Grid. She is the host of the 49 Carats podcast and one of the co-hosts for Niners Nation Pod as well. Steph, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on this Thursday morning, bright and early, to preview a huge Thursday night football game tonight between San Francisco and Seattle.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's dive into the game. We have already seen movement on this number on this Thursday morning, maybe around the questionable injury designation for the rookie in Brock Purdy, but the Niners still enter Seattle tonight as a 3-point favorite with an over-under at 43.5. Steph, as we enter this final month of the NFL regular season, how do you describe the importance of tonight's football game?
This is huge for the 49ers. They can clinch the NFC West with this game. And if they do that, I think they're in a better position to possibly overtake the 2 seed as well. The Vikings look a little fraudulent right now. And so I think that'd be a great opportunity for them. They're picking up steam. They've won their last 6. So it would be great to, keep that going into the playoffs.
It certainly would be a 6-game win streak, the longest active winning streak in all of the NFL at this point. And for the last 2 games, certainly the last game against Tampa Bay, making his first NFL career start, Brock Purdy has been under center for Kyle Shanahan and that Niners offense. Again, the questionable injury designation for tonight's football game. Steph, what have you been hearing from Niners practice on this short week about the health of Brock Purdy, expected at least to make his first NFL career road start tonight in Seattle?
Yeah, he's been limited throughout the week, and that's pretty much as expected. And it's really just a pain tolerance issue. Kyle Shanahan said that it's not possible to worsen this injury if he were to play, so I expect him to be full go tonight.
We have not seen any props out yet for Brock Purdy, but in the game that he started against Tampa Bay, Steph, he played pretty much 3.5 quarters when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt in the opening quarter of that game against Miami 2 weekends ago. How would you evaluate the play of Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the rookie QB in Brock Purdy out of Iowa State?
Well, he's definitely exceeded my expectations, and I just had a really cautiously optimistic approach after the Dolphins game. The Dolphins defense, pretty average, and I would say they weren't prepared to face Brock Purdy, so I kind of didn't hold that too much against them. But against the Bucs, I thought that was going to be a good challenge for the rookie, and I really think he passed with flying colors. The Bucs defense was giving him everything that he can handle. They blitzed him like crazy, and against the blitz, he was 7 of 8, 109 yards, and 2 touchdowns under pressure. And he isn't afraid to take chances. Jimmy had thrown 2 deep touchdown passes outside the numbers in the last 3 years. Brock Purdy threw 2 deep touchdown passes in 1 quarter against the Bucs. So he could do a lot of what Jimmy does, and he could do that well, but he could also give you a little bit extra, which I think is going to be critical for the 49ers going forward.
And it certainly hasn't seemed like Kyle Shanahan has had the reins on his rookie QB. He feels very in command of that offense so far. And when you have as many offensive pieces at his disposal as Brock Purdy has, it's a pretty good system, including Christian McCaffrey, acquired ahead of the NFL trade deadline from Carolina. And Steph, we have seen performance after performance now for McCaffrey that has really shown that development in this San Francisco offense. He is averaging pretty much 150 yards from the line of scrimmage in the last 2 games for San Francisco. You look at the props and everything expected out of Run CMC tonight against Seattle. How have you found Christian McCaffrey's growth in this 49ers offensive system?
This might go down as one of the best midseason trades ever, right? He's absolutely transformed this offense since being traded here. Since week 10, he has the most receiving yards of any running back, and he's had 41% of his carries go for at least 15 yards. That's crazy. And in the last 6 games in their win streak, he's accounted for 680 yards and 6 of the team's touchdowns. Last week, he had 14 carries, 119 yards. And I would expect with Deebo Samuel out, I think he could see another big game in this one.
What is this, Steph? You mentioned with Deebo Samuel out of this offense tonight for San Francisco. We saw him carted off the field last week against Tampa Bay. He's expected to miss multiple weeks. How does that change the offensive game plan trying to attack that Seattle defense?
Yeah, well, the ball is simply going to have to go to other players, but luckily they have a lot of players who can do a lot of what Debo does in a sense. I mean, McCaffrey can catch and run the football, essentially also a wide back himself in a way. And the last time that Debo Samuel was out back in week 8 against the Rams, McCaffrey had 8 catches, 55 yards. He had a receiving touchdown. He also had 18 carries. And that was kind of McCaffrey's coming out party and kind of a way of Kyle Shanahan using his new shiny toy. But I still think, a lot of those opportunities came from Debo Samuel being out. And also Brandon Ayuk had 16 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown, which is right around his average. So I don't know if I see much of a boost for Ayuk necessarily. And Ray McLeod didn't see too much of a boost either. So I think it's really going to be centered around Christian McCaffrey. And don't be surprised if we see a lot of Jordan Mason in this game, whose carries have been increasing for the last few weeks.
A really good point for what that offense looks like tonight. As Steph said, a lot of shiny toys for Kyle Shanahan to take advantage of offensively. But for San Francisco, really all year, Steph, it's been the defense that has led the way. The best scoring defense in all of the NFL, only giving up on average just over 15 points per game to their opponents. But Geno Smith and the Seahawks can score, the 6th best scoring offense in the National Football League. What will be the key in terms of a matchup perspective for the Niners and slowing down the Seahawks tonight?
Well, I think they got to do similar to what they did back in week 2 when the Seahawks didn't score any offensive points. With this defense, since they got embarrassed by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in week 7, they have not looked back. I mean, you mentioned they're allowing the least number of points, the least amount of explosive plays, and the least amount of rushing yards, total yards. So if they want to get their rookie Ken Walker involved, which I would expect because it's his first game back after missing last week, I think it's going to be tough sledding. And so it's going to force the Seahawks into a one-dimensional game. And they like to pass the ball anyway, so that might work for them. But they're going to have a hard time throwing against this defense. They've shut out opponents in 8 full halves of football. And so I think DeMeco Ryans, what he's been able to do with this defense has been incredible.
Certainly so. And DeMeco Ryans will be a name to monitor when the coaching cycle continues in the NFL following this season. Steph, you mentioned the atmosphere for tonight in Seattle, the significance of this game. With a victory, San Francisco clinches the NFC West divisional title. As you look at this game breakdown and the key matchups you'll be following tonight, will the Niners get it done? Will they leave Seattle as divisional champs in the NFC West?
Well, the 49ers have lost 10 of their last 11 in playing in Seattle, but I feel like they're playing with a different fire underneath them this time. I mean, they can clinch the NFC West, as you mentioned. Brock Purdy, I think, has given them a bit of a boost on offense, and this defense is just absolutely playing lights out. So really, if the Seahawks were to win this one, it would just be that Seattle Lumen Field magic that they have, and really maybe just the crowd noise making an impact on the rookie.
Playing in front of the 12's always a very difficult task, especially for a rookie expected to make his first career NFL road start. In Seattle, as Steph mentioned, still in the hunt for a postseason spot, slightly favored to be an NFC wildcard team at this moment. Steph Sanchez joining us here on the Morning After live on this Thursday. She is one of the co-hosts of the Niners Nation podcast and also for the 49 Carats pod as well, covering all things San Francisco 49ers football. Steph, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the game on this Thursday night.
Thanks for having me.
We go back to the NBA up next here live on the Morning After on Sports Grid. All around the association from a huge Wednesday night in the league. Up next on TMA.